Fury, why haven't you called any of your special friends? You're out of moves, Fury. This is a ticking time bomb.
You got to figure out which side you're on.
Mama always said I was special. Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Happy Comic-Con week. This will be my Secret Invasion Episode 6 finale trailer. There's a bunch of Easter eggs, obviously a couple really big storylines as they have to wrap up. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We have the Loki series that's coming pretty soon. We're supposed to get a trailer for that this weekend. I don't know if they're going to wind up releasing it because Marvel changed all their Comic-Con plans. But they are releasing a brand new trailer for the Marvels movie, and there'll probably be a post-credit scene at the end of Secret Invasion Episode 6 that'll explain what's happening at the beginning of that movie. My early theory right now is it'll either involve Monica Rambeau in the Saber Space Station, like they'll end the series with Nick Fury going back to the Saber Space Station because that's where he is when the Marvels movie begins. Or they might just play the Miss Marvel post-credit scene forward just a little bit more, like what happens immediately after the Miss Marvel post-credit scene where Captain Marvel had switched places with Kamala Khan because of the way her powers worked in combination with the bangle. She swapped places with Kamala Khan, and she had formerly been in another part of the galaxy, like in Kree Skrull space on a Kree ship. And when she shows up in Kamala Khan's bedroom, she has absolutely no idea what's going on. Like, how did I get here? And is this a stalker's room? Just because there's pictures of her all over the place. What they might do is just show you what happens immediately after this scene. Like, she probably tries to contact Nick Fury because she finds out that she's back on Earth. Like, she runs downstairs and finds Kamala Khan's parents, and they're like, what the hell is going on here? So she contacts Nick Fury, and that's how he winds up at her house in Jersey City with Monica Rambeau. I also think there's going to be a post-credit scene or some kind of teaser at the end, like just the last couple of scenes where they explain what happens with the real Rhodey, how long he's been gone this whole time, like which movie exactly it was when he got switched, and it'll help set up the Iron Man Armor Wars movie that they're doing in Marvel Phase 6. Previously, that movie was supposed to come out right after the new Fantastic Four movie. That might wind up swapping places a little bit because of all the delays that have been happening recently. But supposedly, after they rescue the real Rhodey from this giant stash of people that they've been keeping on ice, like you see in the trailer here, she finds all these bodies of world leaders, important figures that the Skrulls have replaced. The real Rhodey learns that Skrull Rhodey, Skrody, has been using his status as War Machine, his access to all the Iron Man Stark tech, to do all kinds of shady stuff all around the world. And because of what the Skrulls were doing with all that Iron Man tech, it falls into the hands of a bunch of villains. It also winds up getting into the hands of people like Val and Damage Control. We already saw that during Spider-Man No Way Home, and then during the Miss Marvel series with them using the Stark tech Edith drones. And the real Rhodey will just have to deal with that, clean up that mess during the Armor Wars series, with Justin Hammer coming back to work for Val, create more new Iron Man armor tech and things based on Iron Man's designs. Basically like a bigger, worse version of what he did in Iron Man 2.
I mean, I had an army of robots. What's he got? He's got some dumb accent? And his name's Trevor. What is that? Like if Bin Laden and Benny Hill had a baby.
Part of that will also borrow from comic book Armor Wars. The only difference is obviously it's Rhodey taking the lead instead of Tony Stark, Iron Man. And instead of just the blanket US government being one of the major antagonists with Justin Hammer, Damage Control winds up being more of the main villain because Justin Hammer is creating all the new Iron Man armor tech for them. During the comic book Armor Wars, the US government basically commissions this giant Iron Man armor design that Iron Man winds up having to take down. They'll probably have a version of that during the Armor Wars movie, but it's Justin Hammer who created it for Damage Control, and Rhodey's the person that has to destroy it. Supposedly during that movie, because of all the Iron Man armor tech that Val and Damage Control are messing with, or Justin Hammer at least is messing with, they bring back Ultron unexpectedly, like they accidentally reactivate the Ultron protocols. But like I said, even though you normally would think Ultron would be the villain of a movie like that, or the resurrected Ultron, technically it'd be Damage Control because they're the persons that are pulling all the strings. A lot of what happens during that movie will be under the purview of President Thunderbolt Ross, so we'll see what happens to him at the end of this series or how they explain him becoming President of the United States, and President Ritson either leaving office or being voted out of office. That might have something to do with the Harvest storyline, the whole idea of grafting people's powers onto your, like taking the Avengers' powers. Val would definitely want something like that, like she wants all the vibranium from Wakanda. During Captain America 4, they also want the adamantium that gets found on Tiamat's body. but suddenly they have this cachet of all the Avengers DNA in a way to give themselves powers. So I wouldn't be surprised if the US government, Val, Thunderbolt, Ross try to get their hands on the Skrulls' Super Skrull technology at the end of the series. But during the footage from the actual episode in the trailer, we see Nick Fury taking what Gravik thinks is the harvested Avengers DNA to his base in Russia. It looks like they get into an actual fight in the reactor room where they built that Super Skrull device. There's no way that Nick Fury would have a chance against Gravik. Like, Gravik looks all hulked out here, like he's given himself the Obsidian powers, so he's super strong and super durable. Technically, it would be like the powers of the Thing if we're talking about analogs for the Fantastic Four's powers. A lot of people also wondering if because of this fight, they'll wind up finding out that Nick Fury himself is not the real Nick Fury. You know, like some secret replacement like a life model decoy, or he's secretly a Skrull pretending to be Nick Fury again. Just based on the way they're presenting the fight in the trailer, like without any extra footage, this seems like the real Nick Fury. Like, he definitely gets his ass handed to him. And I think his quote during episode 5 about the only thing that his mama really left him was the brain between his ears was meant to be foreshadowing for the way that he takes Gravik, that like he outsmarts him. He doesn't beat him in a one-on-one fight because there's no way that he have a chance of doing that. The other weird line of dialogue that Gravik had when he and Nick Fury were trading barbs is that he implied that Nick Fury, when he brought the Avengers harvested DNA, would get a giant dose of radiation poisoning when he came to that reactor room. That might be part of how the Super Skrull device works, like they dose themselves with a bunch of radiation while they're mutating their DNA with this other superpowered person DNA. There's an old joke about Stan Lee-based superheroes, like the characters that Stan Lee created. A lot of them either got their powers by being dosed in radiation, toxic waste, bitten by radioactive spiders, having stuff dumped on them, being bathed in cosmic radiation. Basically, some type of radiation equals powers. And they're making all these sly Fantastic Four references and Easter eggs with some of the story details during the series. That's basically how the Fantastic Four got their powers. They were caught in a solar storm and bombarded with cosmic radiation. There was this joke about Darwinism and evolution. There's a whole idea of mutants being the evolution of the human race. I don't think we're going to see a ton of mutants or X-Men characters during the finale or anything like that, but it does sound like they're laying the seedwork, like they're laying the groundwork for more mutants popping up. People in the MCU getting their DNA mutated, like Monica Rambeau had her DNA mutated. The interesting thing about mutants X-Men characters is that technically when you get your DNA mutated, you're actually called a mutate, not a mutant. Traditional mutants in the MCU, like the distinction is that you have to be born with those powers, born with the X gene, basically. That's why characters like the Hulk and Spider-Man that have biologically based powers are technically mutates, and characters like Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel in the MCU, who were born with their powers, are traditional mutants. X-Men are also a little bit different, and then they're just a particular group of mutants in the comics. In order to be called an X-Man, normally you have to have been on the team at some point, but usually when people are talking about X-Men characters in general, people are just referring to anyone at all who was featured in the X-Men comics at some point. Like, technically, Scarlet Witch is an X-Men character, even though she's more of an Avengers character. Just based on what Elizabeth Olsen has been talking about recently, they'll get into the whole Scarlet Witch mutant X-Men thing during Deadpool 3 and future movies that she winds up appearing in. But I don't think they're creating a whole bunch of mutants during the series or anything like that. Would not be surprised, though, if the Skrulls learn how to mutate DNA to give people powers, and that's something that other MCU characters like Val would want to get their hands on and use it in the Weapons Plus program. Sort of the way the Captain America Super Soldier Serum evolved into that upgraded form during the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. There's also the question of what happens to Emilia Clarke's Gaia character. Like I said in previous videos, she probably winds up taking her father Talos's place as Nick Fury's right-hand person working for him on the Saber space station, being kind of like a version of Abigail Brand in the MCU, but not actual Abigail Brand. The funny thing about that is that her Extremis-based powers, now her fire-based powers, actually look a little bit similar to Abigail Brand's powers. I don't know if she has a cameo during the Marvels movie, though. We'll see. I'm not expecting her to show up in that movie. Now that the world knows about the rest of the Skrulls too, there's the question of what happens to them. They probably get to continue living on Earth, and they had this line in the previous episode about how they like the cold. They might come to a compromise with the World Security Council where they allow them to live in just a really cold place on Earth that humans have a hard time living. Like, send the Skrulls to Antarctica. It's not like a whole bunch of humans are going to want to live there instead of them. That would be a funny way to reveal the Savage Land in the MCU. It exists in Antarctica in the comics. But everyone post all your theories for the finale in the comments below, and I'll post my full episode 6 video next week after they release it. And like I said, a couple big Comic-Con trailers coming the next couple of days. Make sure to enable alerts for my channel, and I'll post those videos as quickly as possible. We should be getting that Marvel's trailer either later tonight or tomorrow at some point. Then maybe a Loki Season 2 trailer this weekend, and I think we're also getting an Invincible Season 2 trailer too. If you have not watched any of the Invincible episodes, it's amazing. Be sure to check it out because Steven Yeun plays the Invincible character. He's also probably going to be playing the new MCU version of the Sentry in the Thunderbolts movie. Click here for that brand new trailer. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for all my Secret Invasion episode videos. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.